with G. Scott.
Being in the NFL world, I had and have had many opportunities to run across all different walks of life that are connected to the NFL. One of the walks is the NFL agents that are out there. And I got to tell you, it's almost like this secret society that's out there. We see them, we hear about them, but we really don't know. So joining us right now is Henry Organ, NFL agent. Henry, welcome to the show, bro.
Man, thank you for having me, brother.
Okay, I want to get right to it. First, how and why did you become an agent?
There's many different stories of why I became an agent. I think the one, to keep it short, I'll tell you today, I played college football at Portland State. It was awesome, had a great experience. I saw some friends that became agents and they ended up going broke. And I had a number of friends when I worked at Nike that asked me to become an NFL agent. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then finally I was like, one day I was like, yeah, I want to do it, because there's no ceiling on how much money you can make and how many people you can help and how many lives you can actually change.
Full disclosure, you played college football with Deshaun Shedd, Seahawk legend, Deshaun Shedd. What was that like?
That was great. Deshaun Shedd is the craziest, most intense worker out there you will ever meet.
Yeah.
Even back then, he was insane.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with this. A lot of us fans, we have, whatever you listen out there, whatever your opinion is about NFL agents, let me get to some that I've heard of, and let me get to some that I've heard in the past. You agents are sneaky. You agents seem like you're kind of manipulators. What do you have to say to those things?
What is the difference in us and coaches in front office? If that's the perspective, if we get this negative connotation of being manipulators, motivators, whatever, coaches are the exact same.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the difference. I think the difference is as we fans, right? We fans are connected to a team, whatever team that is, right? So usually our team wants to win. Our coaches wants to win. And sometimes standing in the way of our team winning is that NFL agent that tells their client, you need more and you need to negotiate this. And so we get upset and we be mad at y'all. That's the difference between how we view coaches and you agents.
That's absolutely right. You guys do what's best for the team, right? You guys are fans of the team, and we do what's best for the player. So we protect the player from being taken advantage of sometimes by the team and ownership.
And when you say take advantage of, what does that mean? Like, so how do these, I mean, we all think that they get millions of dollars anyways. What do you mean taken advantage of? How do they get taken advantage of?
Yeah, unlike basketball, you guys see the big number on television, but not all that money is guaranteed. And so that's usually the biggest point of contention of how much of that is guaranteed at signing, how much of that is guaranteed over the life of the deal. If you cut my player, how much do you have to pay versus how much does he really walk away with after taxes? What is the real? You know, and that's the thing that you guys don't see as fans is what is the real number the players are actually getting in their pockets.
Stop right there. So let's just say myself, Bones, and Paul, we see a player get played. Oh, this player's getting $100 million and they're getting $80 million guaranteed. And you're saying that when we see the number of $100 million and we see the number of $80 million guaranteed, you're telling us that that's still not what it is?
The key thing you said is guaranteed. Most of the times when the deal comes across the ticker, it says $100 million and guaranteed at this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what should we as fans, so when the player's getting paid, do we just focus on the guarantee? Or is there more things to look at? Because sometimes that guarantee might be backloaded. And how does that work?
I mean, well, the reality is you guys don't actually have access to the contracts. The best thing you can do is sometimes as close as to go to like above the cap. I think it's public information that pulls contract data. I don't know how they get it, but they pull it from the contracts. And really look at like, when is that money paid out? You know, and then, okay, these players are paid a large amount of money. How much are they paying in taxes? These are W-2 employees. Most rich people don't get paid as W-2s, right? So they're paying 50% taxes on that money. So automatically, they are the biggest contributor to the taxes here in the state of Washington.
Oh.
Separate what, maybe Microsoft, T-Mobile, like the players pay the most amount of taxes in the state. And the players that come into town as well.
Wait,
I know you guys don't pay sales tax, right? Is that right?
No income tax here. No income tax here.
But in other states, let me say that. Other states, that's relevant.
So when these guys, when they leave and go play an away game, so when the Seattle Seahawks traveled to Tennessee, they were just there for the Titans game. When they traveled to the Chargers in LA, they got to pay taxes?
They pay taxes in that state that they play in, what they get paid.
Okay. Before we go on to something else, because I really want to talk about NIL. I really want to talk about that because I think that is a topic that most listening and watching right now doesn't really have an understanding on. But before I go, what is the biggest, give us one misconception that we fans have about NFL agents?
I think the biggest misconception that you have is that we all make $100 million. Most of us do not make a lot of money. I'm one of the top agents in my business. By default, I don't have a lot of clients, but I have clients that are getting paid. Most agents don't make money. They invest in rookies that do not pan out, and so they don't break even.
How does Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport get all the information?
From the teams, from ownership, from agents, from local media. They get it from all over.
But how come they always the one breaking everything? How do they get all that information? It almost feels like it's almost like a monopoly. It's controlled. So do you understand it?
Who cuts their paycheck? If you're Ian Rappaport, who gets paid by NFL Network, right? Who pays NFL Network?
Who does pay NFL Network?
NFL. The NFL owns the majority of the rights for that station, right? It's a rev share model.
Well, how come then ESPN and Disney pays Adam Schefter?
Hey, Schefter just went over to ESPN, right? Before he was an NFL insider, correct?
Okay. All right.
I got a question here. If I may, you mentioned and you brought up this good point of taxes. That's actually something a lot of teams, not a lot of people think about. How difficult is it to get certain players to go in certain locations? I'm from Colorado. I'm a diehard Rockies fan. Everyone talks about how hard it is to get pitchers to go play at Coors Field and pitch at Coors Field. How much does where you're trying to get your player to go factor into, not only for the player, but for the team and the fans as well?
From an agent's perspective, it's something you kind of account for. Okay, when you're negotiating, $10 million here is not worth $10 million over here, right? It's worth more in this state. So if they're coming at the same number, well, then you can leverage the other and say, you need to pay more because I have an offer from this team and you guys are not even after taxes. So you can push the number up so the player makes more if you want that player to go there, if that player wants to go to that team in free agency.
Let's get to the juicy stuff. Let's get to the new stuff. Name, image, likeness. I think that there are a lot of us that really don't understand. There's a lot of us that are upset with NIL. They say things like, this is ruining college football. They say things like, it's messing with tradition. And one of the things I will say, especially in this state, the state of Washington, one of the things that's just like, I will say that's heartbreaking, even though I don't have anyone in this particular race, the game between Washington State and the University of Washington is no longer happening right after Thanksgiving, right? That's going to be done in another time. So the tradition of that is going away because University of Washington is in the Big Ten. The name, image, likeness, which has been around since 2021, where is it now today? Where did it used to be? And where is it going?
Which one do you want to attack first?
Okay.
Let's start. Like 5 things.
Let's start with this. It started in 2021. It's 2024 today. What changes have you seen in the NIL model from 2021 until now?
Before answering that, I think NIL is great, just to address your point. All it is leveling the playing field of sports, right? In the South, they've been paying their players, right? Under the table, over the table, they don't care, right? Now it's just above board, and now everybody can do it, and it's an even playing field for recruiting, in my personal opinion. Right. Now if you want that player, you can't pay that player to get them to come to your school. So that's the first thing. From 2021 to now, I mean, it's an NFL model. There is a salary cap that each team that's playing has, right? There's a salary cap. So your good schools have anywhere from $10 to $20 million in football. They're paying out their players on a yearly basis. That's where we're at. When we first started in 2021 was like all these marketing companies were like, I want to do deals with you. all these trading card companies want to do deals, but there was no strategy. It was just young, hot, and cool, and like, oh, I want to do that. Let me, if I'm a executive at Procter and Gamble and I'm an Ohio State fan, let me go pay that kid that I like,
right,
and like see if I can get a relationship.
So this
with him.
NIL budget that you're talking about from all these big schools, right? This NFL, the NIL budget. When you talk about the budget that these schools have, does the schools pay this money or do the fans pay for that?
Fans do, right?
Wait, hold on, wait.
The fans pay the money, not the schools. So you pay the money. So you're upset, but you're paying. So you are the problem.
Oh, so
Hot take.
So wait, what do the schools pay for?
Nothing. What do they pay for? Education doesn't cost them anything. Teachers cost them, but what do they pay the teachers? Not a lot.
Yeah.
Where is the people are like, oh, well, they get a free education. Education is a made up number.
That I agree with. So where is it going? Just recently, I just saw that there was a recruit that the Buckeyes, Ohio State, did not get. It was an offensive lineman. And this offensive lineman, I mean, allegedly they said he's, we're talking about $1 million+. You're talking about there's opportunities for this and for that. What is happening to where these high school kids are going into college, or these college kids? What percentage of them have an agent, and what percentage of them just do these deals themselves?
Ooh, great question. One, my first question for you is back at you is that player signed, sealed, delivered, and committed yet? Or are you talking about a player that's supposedly the Ohio State's lost? Because they can still win them. Signing day is not till December.
Okay.
Right? So, like, is he committed?
Is there a lot of deals that happen between, like, so let's say a kid gets ready to commit, and then by the time they got to sign?
Yeah, they flip. So, yeah, that school has won for now, but if Ohio State wins the national championship, which I can see very well happening, and they come up with more money to pay the kid than the other school, well, who's to say that kid doesn't flip?
One last thing. There's a lot of people that believe that this is going to destroy college football. Is it?
No,
Isn't
I think it's going to make it better. It's made it better because now kids are staying in college longer than they previously were. So now the talent is staying in college football longer, and they're hurting themselves and most of the time their value for the NFL draft. But they are they're making college football more competitive, more fun to watch.
And it feels like it's providing opportunities for some that might not always have had them. They might know that the NFL isn't going to be the place for them to thrive. Why not thrive? Again, I came from Athens, Ohio, and the OU Bobcats. Why not be the best Bobcat that you can be and maximize in your 4 to 5 years of college? That's what I see when I think NNL.
Yeah.
Or NIL, not NNL. But it's your image, it's your skills, it's your talent. Why not profit off yourself? That's the way I see it.
Yeah. And I think that I really hate the phrase NIL. Another hot take for you guys.
Why?
It's pay for play. It's pay for play. Your image, your brand means nothing. Half you guys, nobody wants to talk to you. You can't talk.
Oh.
You're a post-COVID kid. You can't talk. You're boring. All you do is sit on the phone all day. You're boring. You don't really have a brand. It's pay for play. Let's call it what it is.
Wow.
I got a question for you. You represent NFL players and college athletes with NILs. What are the unique differences between dealing with like someone in the NFL versus someone who's getting an NIL deal in college?
Good question. Good question.
Come on.
The only difference is the NIL space, or the pay for play model, like I call it, it's the wild, wild west. There are no rules. There are rules that previously existed that sometimes they get enforced. Most of the time, right now, they don't. But it's the wild, wild west. There's no protection really for the school. There's no protection really for the player.
See, that part right there, that was an excellent question to get into this topic. Here's the thing that I don't like about the whole NIL space, right? And the difference between NIL and NFL. NFL right now, you're sitting here watching, you can go right on now on your phone and see how much Geno Smith makes. You can see how much, there's full transparency on what these NFL players make. In college, NIL, with the salary cap, there is no transparency. And the lack of transparency is an opportunity for shadiness to exist, right? So that's the part. And when is there going to be to a point where, hey, this college player, this college receiver, this quarterback, when are they going to show what they're making?
In my opinion, because I don't work for the NCAA and know everything they have going on, but allegedly by August 2026, they're supposed to have some type of pay-for-play model game plan, right? I don't know if it actually happens then. I think maybe another year or two when it's much more transparent, where the fans that pay the money get to see how the money's distributed, but there's always going to be back-end deals in college.
One of the things I've seen recently, I saw Oklahoma State plans to put QR codes on the back of their helmets. So it's an opportunity for you to be at home watching the game, directly go ahead and send money. Here's a question for you. I'm thinking to myself, I see the University, but I see the University of California, right? I am starting to see venture capitalists. I'm starting to see big companies come right in and deal directly with the schools. The same way we have naming rights for stadiums. We have Lumen Field. We have all of these different companies that go naming rights for these stadiums. Is it a good thing or a bad thing when companies start to come wanting to put their logos on their jerseys and these helmets? Your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's great for the sport because it's showing you that the smartest people in the world, venture capitalists, are seeing the potential and the upside and how explosive this industry is and how unorganized it really is. And they're saying once they can figure it out, it's a scalable model to make a lot of money for themselves, the player, and everybody else. So the QR codes, helmets, I hate it because that just opens the floodgates for scamming. Somebody can just change that pre-game and wire that money right to me. You know, there's so much stuff that can happen with that.
I got 2 minutes left. And I want to ask this because you just said something about being unorganized. And I know that in life, whatever you do, if and when you are unorganized, that is the potential for disaster to happen. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most disorganized, how disorganized is this whole
10,
NIL?
11.
Huh?
11. It's that bad.
Do you think it's that
How many
bad?
players are filing taxes and paying taxes?
Do they arm these college athletes with accountants?
Allegedly.
Man, I feel like there's so much more.
Like, we could go so deep. Like, we could go this for all day. Allegedly, they have this, and that. How many of those accountants, financial advisors are boosters to the collective that pays them?
This.
How far do you want to go? How deep do you want to go down the rabbit hole?
How soon will this? Is that a 10? You said it's as disorganized.
11.
Is that a 10? 11 disorganized. Can we as fans have some type of hope that in the next 3 to 5 years that this will get better?
Absolutely, it's gonna have to.
Okay.
It just has to. It's not possible with the amount of dollars that are being from hand to hand for this not to get more organized. Regulation needs to come into place. There needs to be actual certified agents to negotiate these deals with these players, and the schools need to get protected too, right? Because there's players that get money from you, hop in the portal and go to the next school, get the bag, hop in the portal, and you can't hold them accountable to stay on this team. You have no leverage. That's not fair negotiations, and there's no leverage for the school, the player. If you tell me you're going to pay me $14 million and I get to campus, and then you telling me I'm not paying you that fucking money, what the fuck you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Interesting. I got one more question for you. When it comes to like the NFL, and I don't know how much you and other agents talk with other contracts and stuff like that, but what is the weirdest either contingency or incentive that you've seen listed out on a contract? Like, what's the most outlandish one that might not be attainable or would be very difficult to?
Like Kyler Murray had no video games.
Yeah, like something like that. Like, what's the weirdest thing?
That probably is the weirdest one. It just depends on like what you're looking at. 'Cause, I mean, if you go far back to 30 years ago, I mean, there's crazy stuff in those contracts. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't have the answer for you right now. I don't. But Kyler Murray is a good example. That was a pretty wild one.
Henry Organ, we appreciate it, man. And I hope
appreciate
that
you guys
everybody
having me.
listening had an opportunity to understand just a little bit more about this space, NIL for college, and of course the NFL when it comes to what an agent actually does.
Thank you guys for having me. Ooh, look at that.
Well, now I know y'all don't watch football all the time, because I know I don't either. From time to time, you get on and see what's some of your best shows, TV shows, movies, or whatever. So I want to bring in our own, because we ain't got the budget, so I can't pay for it. Anyway, I want to bring in our own person to come in and talk TV shows and movies. Pat, what's up, bro?
Hello, hello. Happy to be here. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
All right, man. Look, we need some advice. What is a show that you would recommend?
So, show I would recommend right now, because football season is just around the corner, starting next weekend, I believe, or Monday actually, is called The League. It is Mark Duplass and Nick Kroll. It is on Hulu, and it is about fantasy football. It's about a bunch of guys who basically live their life through their fantasy football league. Everything they do revolves around getting new players, doing trades with each other, and it's a great time. Yeah.
And so this is what, because I ain't gonna lie to you, I ain't done fantasy football since 2009. I
Okay.
can't stand it. I talk bad to Frank. I talk bad to Paul about this whole fantasy. And look, I talk bad to you out there doing fantasy. But anyways, is this what it's like? The league. This is what fantasy groups and friend groups are like.
To an extreme, for sure. I mean, they definitely take it to a whole new level. Like, they compete with their actual lives for
Right.
these players,
Uh-huh.
and it's a great time too, because they do a great job with actually bringing the real players onto the show as cameos, and so then they're actually playing with the real life players to get on
Okay.
their teams, and it's a good time.
They
Yeah.
got any brothers in the friend group? Is there any diversity?
I wouldn't say so. This is early 2000s, so
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's an older show. It's
an older
launched
show.
Kroll and
Kroll,
and,
Mark Duplass. Nick Kroll is kind of the one who became famous after it. He was doing the Kroll show on Comedy Central, and then now he has Big Mouth.
He's got a bunch of
he's got a
stuff.
ton
He's
of
just
stuff.
around.
Yeah, he's around. He's a very famous comedian now.
Paul, what's your thoughts on this show?
Gee, it's a longtime favorite of mine. This was one of the shows that kind of has me and my brother. I actually call him a character from this show because he relates. Though there's a character called Kevin. He's the commissioner of the league, and the thing about Kevin is he never wins. He always gets super close, but then he always blows it at the end. And that's the story of my brother, because he talks so much smack to me throughout all the season, and then it comes down to the big moments, the big parts of the playoffs. A total fall on his face moment. So I love the show. It's definitely one of those shows, I will say, depending on, it hasn't aged in some ways as well. It's one of the, but if you kind of go with the context of when it was airing, but it is one of those shows. It's a raunchy one. I wouldn't call it a sit down with the family, follow up with Hard Knocks type of show if you're looking for that. But if you're looking for that classic mid 2000s comedy, it's a good time.
So the thing is about these fantasy leagues and groups and friend groups, there's always one of y'all. There's always one of y'all that knows everything, but you never win. Do y'all got that in your group? Are you that one person? The one person in your group. They know all the stats. They know everything. You should have did this. They talk about you should have did that, but they never win. Frank, is that you?
Yeah, that's 100% me. In my home league, at least, I've won in some other leagues, but my home league that I've been running since high school, I've never won that damn thing, and it makes me so mad. And I'll blame it on my generosity, because I'm always last year, my buddy was on a plane during the draft. The Wi-Fi went down, so you know what I told him? It's like, hey, go get this guy named Puka Nacua.
Dude, get out of there.
I was on the Puka train early.
No, it's not the Puka thing. You're rewarding your friend for drafting a fancy
I gave him a
plane.
tip, and then he made the championship game that year, and I had a not so great season. So yeah, 100% I am that. A question I have about the league in relation to G's relationship with fantasy, does it paint these fantasy footballers in a positive light, or are they more booger eaters and stoners?
I would say it depends on. I mean, yeah, I would say there's a little bit of a booger eater and stoner vibe going on for sure. One of the people in the show is 1,000% a stoner. Every scene he's in, he's smoking.
Lajoie?
What?
John Lajoie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every single scene, and it's just I would say they're a little bit of booger eater and stoners.
Yeah. See, look, y'all, they just prove a point. This is why I don't like video games. All you gamers out there, fantasy football, all that. Well, I have a little bit of grace. Have a little bit of grace for the fantasy football folks.
Just remember who makes who's running the ones and twos on the show there, G.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
true.
Jesus reading Old Man and the Sea. He's reading Moby Dick.
Yeah,
He's
that's
the
right.
book.
You're right, exactly.
He's got his pipe. That's
Put
all
it in
he's
the
doing.
comments if you want Patrick to come back. He came with his first recommendation being the league, Hopefully he comes with something that I might like, because I don't see myself watching the league. They brought up booger eaters. It's now time for the X's and O's. Look, sometimes your walk gotta be bigger than your talk. One of the biggest things that I used to do all the time is say, hey, I'm gonna start on Monday. I'm gonna start this diet on Monday. I'm gonna start working out on Monday. I'm gonna start doing this on Monday. And sometimes you just find yourself being all talk, because then come Thursday, Friday, all of your plans that you had gone out the window. So again, your walk has to be bigger than your talk. It don't matter what you say, it just matters what you do. Hey, it's only a few months left of the season of 2024. You're going into 2025. Don't start on Monday. Don't start in 2025. Start right now. Start right now with your walk being bigger than your talk. Hey, I appreciate you rocking with me. Love you for that. And as always, be kind.